Have you been wondering to yourself recently, man, I need to level up my game and my finances, or I need to do something better or different for my family because what we're doing right now is just not cutting it? Well, in today's 15-minute mentor, we're going to be talking about why having or developing a high income skill is insanely more valuable than having a college degree. Let's talk about it. My wife and I have a really dear set of friends. They've been married for years. We've known them for decades. We've actually known them since before they were married, and now they've grown their beautiful family to a family of 6. And man, you know, they took the traditional route of go to school, go to college, get a degree, get a good job, work and climb the corporate ladder for 40 or 50 years, and then hopefully maybe after 4 or 5 decades of having a job, you might be able to quote unquote retire, right? That's the route that they took. And no shade in that, that's just the route that they took. But there is a better route. And since we've known them for so long, they've also watched my wife and I's journey of us starting businesses and developing our skills and investing into ourselves and being able to serve people at a higher level and being able to make a bunch more money in the process, to the tune of tens of millions of dollars now. They've watched the whole journey from the beginning. And so recently they came to us and like, guys, we need some help. We need to level up. What we're doing right now is just not cutting it. Now, here's the thing. Okay. They make 6 figures. Okay. And because you don't know them, I'll just tell you, they make about $120,000 a year. But with a family of 6 and where they live, that $120K a year, it feels like, almost half of that. And honestly, they're getting taxed to the point where it's almost half of that anyway. So even a 6-figure salary, combined with her and him, they both have college degrees. They both went the corporate route, and they both make decent money. And then combined together, they make 6 figures plus. But they're still struggling out there, man. And so they were like, yo, we need some help. Where should we start? And I said, man, if you don't really know the game yet, I suggest that you start with a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, because that's the book that my wife and I read, 10, 12 years ago, that got us started in the journey of just growing our knowledge in the place of financial literacy. And so we give them the book, and really, if you've not read the book teaches the difference between assets and liabilities. It teaches the difference between, working for yourself, starting a business versus working for someone else. And it basically breaks down this traditional idea of, what society and culture says, go to school, go to college, get a degree, get a job, climb the corporate ladder, versus I'm going to grow my skills and grow my worth that I can bring, the value that I can bring to the market, so I can serve people at a higher level and I can make more money doing so. So they go and they read the book, and they come back to us like 2 weeks later. I'm like, hey, how'd you like the book? And they were discouraged. They're like, man, the book was awesome and we learned a ton, but my gosh, man, we just feel like we're so far down the rabbit hole of like this traditional system that we just don't know how to get out of it. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you could totally get out of it, and I'm not saying to you guys to quit your jobs tomorrow. I'm just saying the first thing to do is to grow your education. The second thing to do is to grow your skills, right? It's got to start first in the mindset, and then you have to develop your skill set. And then after you got the mindset, after you got the skill set, then you need to develop your tool set. Okay, so I'm talking to them about this, and honestly, they were just so discouraged because they felt like they had wasted decades of their life now that they had seen more. And if you're watching today, I want to let you know, hey, I hope you're enjoying the training. I wanted to take a few moments real quick to invite you to join me for my upcoming Create and Sell Digital Products 5-day challenge, okay? This is a 5-day live virtual event where I invite entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs just like you to come spend 5 days with me and get live training on the 5 moves that anyone can take in order to scale and skyrocket their business and their revenue. Now, the best way to join is as a VIP, because VIPs get to spend an extra hour with me every single day and ask your questions live. My most successful students have all been VIPs. That's the best way to join. Listen, you don't want to miss the upcoming Create and Sell Digital Products 5-day challenge. It's completely live. It's coming up right around the corner. Click the link down below in the description. Grab your ticket today. Now back to the training. Exposure always leads to expansion. What does that mean? It means like after you've seen it, you can't unsee it, right? Like now that they've seen the example of my wife and I, like, wow, they've started their business, they've grown their skills, they're serving people at a higher level, and now they're making a bunch more money. And here we are, we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in college debt, right? In debt that we acquired to get these degrees that one of them doesn't even use their degree. They just have the degree, right? And that's so many people. And they're like, man, they just felt like they were too far down the road of the traditional system. And honestly, they got so discouraged, they just gave up right there. And I wish them well, but here's the punchline, okay? I've said this before many times here on the channel, and if you've never heard it before, I say it like this. Most people are trying to make a fortune in the present by making a living in the past, okay? What does that mean? See, most people are trying to make a fortune in the present by using an outdated system that worked only in the past, aka the traditional school system. Okay, like I don't know if you've ever seen those memes on the internet, but it's crazy. Like if you look at a phone from the early 1900s versus today, a phone is dramatically different. Okay, if you look at a car from the early 1900s versus a car today, cars are dramatically different. Okay, if you look at clothing from the early 1900s to today, clothing is dramatically different. But then if you look at school compared to the early 1900s till now, almost nothing has changed. Like it is such an outdated system. And I don't know about you, but there's so many people out there right now that they have hundreds of thousands of dollars in college debt, and they don't even use the degree that they went to school for and acquired all of this debt for. They just went out and found a job. And it is so interesting to me that so many people they're like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. And they stay stuck in that system. And then they go into it and they wake up, a decade later going, oh my gosh, like I make okay money now. Maybe like my friends, like I make 6 figures plus now, but I still can't get ahead. Well, it's because you don't have a high income skill. So let's talk about a high income skill now that you have a little bit of the context there for what I'm talking about today. Okay. So what is a high income skill? A high income skill is a skill set. Remember, you got to first build the mindset, then you got to build your skill set. Okay. A high income skill is a skill set that you can use to serve people that goes beyond your time and your effort. See, because most people, their only income producing asset is their time and their effort. And I'm telling you this, your time is limited. Your efforts are limited. And if your time and effort are limited and that's how you make money, guess what else is going to be limited? The money that you are able to make. But when you have a high income skill, and you might be saying, okay, well, Rick, what is a high income skill? Well, there's many of them. I think some of the strongest high income skills for 2025 and moving forward, some of the best high income skills to learn, I think would be digital marketing. I think one of the best high income skills that you could ever learn ever, period, is sales. Okay. High income skills. I think one of the best high income skills that you can learn right now, hands down, is learning how digital products work. Okay. And there's a number of high income skills out there. You could get involved in media. Maybe you could learn how to edit videos, right? Maybe you can learn how to do some kind of task for businesses. So instead of you having to go to a job where you have to clock in and punch your 9 to 5, now you could just go charge a business $5,000, $10,000 to do some kind of high income skill for their business. Are you getting this yet? Okay. So Why am I saying that a high income skill is way more valuable than having a job? Having not just a job, but having a college degree? Because I don't know if you could see this or not yet, but my gosh, man, college degrees are just not what they used to be anymore, right? They're really not. And so here's what I encourage you to do, okay? Let's talk about the mindset, skill set, and tool set. So now that you heard the story about my friends and they're making six figures, but my gosh, they still feel like they're struggling. And that's so many Americans today now. Six figures is not what it was, 30 years ago. The American dream of like, let's go get a college degree, that's not what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. Might have worked for your grandpa, but it's not going to work for you. Okay, so how can you get ahead with a high income skill? Well, number one, you've got to grow your financial literacy. Okay, you've got to be always searching for, how does the game of money work? How does the game of business work? Because if you don't know how the game is played, it's going to be really hard for you to win at the game. Think about that. Like, if you don't understand the rules of a baseball game and you go to play baseball, it's basically going to be next to impossible for you to win the game because you don't even know how the game works. That's where most people are at, man, in their finances, in their financial literacy. They're like, well, I'm going to go get a job, I guess. And then their thought process is, well, I'm struggling financially because this one job is not cutting it for me. So I probably just need to go get a second job. No, you don't need to go get a second job. You need to develop a high income skill. Okay? Because a job stands for just over broke. And you know that, and I know that just because you have a job doesn't mean that you are thriving financially, right? A job just means that you're just over broke. And if you need more income, it's like, oh man, I need to go get a secondary job. No, you need to develop a high income skill. How are you going to do this? Number one, you're going to increase your education. Number two, you are going to swap out binge watching Netflix. Now you can binge watch courses on business, on marketing, on sales, on digital products. You can literally use the time that you are using right now for entertainment, swap it out for education. Okay, instead of spending an hour playing video games, you can literally go spend an hour listening to a podcast or reading a book, growing your literacy and beginning to sharpen these skills. Because whenever you are getting trained, whenever you grow your education, now the way that you develop the skill set from the mindset is you got to start taking massive action on the new information that you just learned. Okay, so maybe for you that's like, okay, instead of binge watching my favorite show on Netflix this week, I'm going to binge watch a course on whatever, digital marketing. And then after the course is over, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take massive action and I'm going to go start doing digital marketing, and I'm going to come up with a way to serve people on the internet. Like, guys, it's this simple. Like, what if I suck at it at the beginning? You will. That's how any skill works. Like, the first time you tried to ride a bike, it was super hard and you probably fell over and you probably scraped your knee. But guess what? That's part of learning. So in the development of the skill part of this, expect that in the beginning, you're probably not going to be a pro, and that's okay. That's part of the process needed to develop those skills. Okay. And then lastly, after you start developing these skills, you've got to start developing, remember, it's mindset, skill set, and then tool set. Okay. So now that you're developing the skills, what you need to do is you need to bring in some support around you, some systems around you, and utilize the tools that are available to you today. Tools like software, okay? Tools like maybe you have never used TikTok before, but now you're going to learn TikTok because it's a tool. Or maybe you have never posted a YouTube video before, but you're going to post YouTube videos because it's a tool. YouTube is a tool. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe you're like, well, man, I'm going to develop a course. I just watched a training on how to develop my first or my next course, but where do I put my course? How do I list it on the internet? Well, you probably need to start learning how to use tools like Go High Level. It's a new software and you need to learn how to use a tool. You see what I'm saying? Like, the more your mindset grows, the more your skill set can grow, and then the more your tool set can grow. And when you can grow your mindset, your skill set, and your tool set, now it's over with. Because instead of going and getting hundreds of thousands of dollars into college debt, okay, instead of spending 20, 30, 40 grand a semester on a random piece of paper, learning from someone who hasn't even done the thing that they're teaching. They're just teaching you from a book, right? Like, it's mind-blowing to me that most people who go to college to get a business degree are learning business from people who've never even started businesses before, right? So instead of going out and getting hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt at a college and, just for a piece of paper that you'll probably never use, go invest like $100 into a training. Go invest $500 or $1,000 into a course, into some kind of training. Go invest $5,000 into a mentorship, $10,000 into a mentorship, right? That's going to be way better time and money spent than you trying to go just get another job or a college degree, okay? So guys, those are my initial thoughts on why developing a high income skill is way better than getting a traditional college degree. Let me know down in the comments if you agree on this or not. And let me know what your thoughts are on this. Maybe you found yourself in this situation before. Maybe you're ready to get out of it. And if you are, join me for my upcoming 5-day live virtual training that I have coming up right around the corner, where I'm literally going to show you step by step exactly how you can create and sell your own digital products with a phone and a laptop. That's all you need to get started, okay? So that you can start serving people on the internet. And then you can start, as you serve more people, you can make more money. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Click that link down below. Join me because the training's coming up right around the corner. Let me know if you guys like this, and subscribe to the channel if you want to continue to see more content like this from me. And we'll see you in the next 15-minute mentor. Peace.